Interest rates are going up. Trying to get ahead is mighty, mighty tough. Bill collectors at my door. I need someone to help me raise my credit score.
Welcome back to the Pearl Polto Show. Do you know why I love the Pearl Polto Show? Not because it's me, but because I'm making a difference and letting you know your rights. And I always say, if you heard me at the beginning of shows, and I've always said, you know, what does it take to get your attention? Well, the show, many shows that we're going to have, will get your attention. And a lot of the media do follow it, but that's okay. And because we want to get your attention on what's going on in our government. And let me start by saying the first 20 people that watch this show will receive $1 million. Am I committing a scam? Let's learn what the scams are around this country. But before I tell you about my guest and what's going on with the scams, you don't want to miss the next coming shows. Carrie Flitter, the attorney that sues the bill collectors, will be on next week. Also, the bill collector, I got her on. She's going to come on the following week, following the bill collector attorney that sues it. So she don't want to come on the same show as him, but you know what? She's still going to come on. So you're going to meet this person and get your own opinion of it. But this show today, I thought it was vital. We have a lot going on in this country, and this show is not to judge. And we hope you don't either. And I'm sure that my guest is not the only one that felt victim to what you're going to hear. And you know who you are out there if you got scammed. But my guest is coming forward. Not that many people come forward as well because they are embarrassed. And many of you will say, why in the world would somebody want to do what she did? Well, she's going to tell you why. And she's going to tell you why many out there are other victims of other scams. And many scams are right there in front of your front door. And you won't even know it because they're dressed as gas companies. They're dressed as the police. They're dressed as the electric company. Or the bank calls you about your account. And you believe everything you hear. Not only you believe everything you hear, you get scared. Well, today we're going to find out the reasons and why people get scared. And why this woman got scared. You know, every day, there's thousands and thousands of lottery scam letters that go out to you. And sometimes you believe them. And sometimes you say, no, don't want to believe it. And a lot of times, it's for the information of personal identity. And in almost all cases, if you are committing a scam, you're going to want to hear this as well. Because we're going to catch you eventually. And then the entire world was going to know what you're doing and who you're doing it to. And they use all kinds of methods to get to you. They use the phone, they use the fax, they use email, even the cell phones. And to protect yourself from being scammed, you need to understand, like example, the lottery scams. You need to know the patterns. And they do have a pattern. In the beginning, you will receive a notification that you have just won money. You're then asked to pay some sort of fund and give out personal information. We're all brought up, our parents brought us up with the old saying, if it's too good to be true, well, guess what? Don't believe it. But even some scams sounds amazing and actually ends up costing you a small fortune. There are so many scams out there, and I'm going to go over a few before I bring my guest. There's the internet scam, as we all know. If you have a gut feeling, before you have a virus on your computer, if you have a gut feeling that something is wrong, don't push the button. Do not respond if your email is in all caps. They're trying to get your attention. Those of you that are applying for Medicare, if someone is calling you, telling you, they're from the Social Security office and asks you for your bank account, it's a scam. The SSA will never ask you for information. And if somebody tells you you must join their health plan or you're going to lose your Medicare, it's a scam. People treat fraud and misrepresentation as being the same. And they use the terms, but there's a big difference between the two concepts in the eyes of the law. Fraud and misrepresentation, similar to the fact of people. Fraud is done with the intention of wrongful persons' gain or to cause damage to others. Fraud can be embezzlement, identity fraud, and the figures in income statements, fraud, crime, has a strict provision. Yes, they're against the law. Misrepresentation, on the other hand, most likely is used in the contents when a party may present facts in such a way to lure others in signing a contract. The BBB, the Better Business Bureau, is warning consumers about another scam going on. President Obama will pay your utility bill through a new federal program. This is bogus. Big banks have been cut in massive scams to rip off the global interest rates. And millions of dollars is from the taxpayers' money. Student loans also are committing a fraud where you're paying the wrong people. Now, would you go to jail for this? If we did it, we would go to jail. If we committed scam, fraud, misrepresentation. But the Barclays Bank has only been fined, and the outrage is mounting. Do not sell your home or transfer your home to anyone claiming they're going to be rescuing you from foreclosure. Because what will happen is they own the home and they tell you can rent in your home. Then guess what? You, the tenant, you're thrown out. We have a list, goes on and on. We have jury duty scams. We have credit card scams, as we all know. We have the IRS scams. We have PayPal scams. We have missing person scams just to collect money from you. And you've heard it, and some of them you haven't heard it. We have free vacation scams. We have work from home scams. And the PayPal scams, and no one is exempt. And the reason why I'm saying no one is exempt, I'm not exempt either. I'm not exempt because one time they'll try anywhere because they don't know you. They don't know who you are, what you are. But one time I received from email a PayPal, and it said, we need to update your account. Well, being a consumer advocate and who I am, naturally, I'm not going to believe it. I called up PayPal directly. It was a 404 number, area code. And I said, did you just email me? The answer was no, but they said, forward us that email. It was a scam. And the purpose of that scam was for me to put my identification number on it. Another scam that was personally affected to me, somebody else called me and said, your debit account, well, I don't have a debit account. I don't believe in them. But your debit account it's going to be locked out unless you call us back. And I said, who am I speaking to? Well, they hung up. So I called up the phone company and I said, I have caller ID. What is this number? Because here's what they did. And she got back to me and she said, this is from a church in Louisiana. Somebody also scammed them and we can't stop this. Now, a couple days ago, even before this show, I received another call. Now I was testing them all out. They called me and they said, was a recording. And the recording said, do you want to lower your credit cards to 0%? Lower all your credit cards. Push 1. I pushed 1. A gentleman gets on the phone and said, you're about to get scammed. I hung up from him. After I hung up from him, interesting enough, when I hung up, I said, who am I speaking to? Well, he hung up on me. Then, it hits home here too now. And why I'm saying it hits home, because we have another scam going out. We have many. Congratulations, you've just been selected a lucky winner. Now, this is close to home. And this is from our own Ron Homer. He was scammed with this, but he called me, thank God. He called me and he said, what do you think? I said, no, you're not going to do nothing. They're mailing him a check. But so what we did, what I advised him to do, and I met him, we went over to the cash check place. And we gave it to them. We said, you know what? We don't have any information. He doesn't have a bank account. He has nothing. But you cash checks here. Cash this check. And they said, we can't do that. So then when Ron came home, he contacted this person. And they said, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. We'll mail you out another check. What they never did. because it was a scam. And my guest today, and I still have the check, believe it or not, the check, and it looks legit. I mean, if it's for $987, how legit can it be from a First Federal Bank with the numbers on it, 86,000 checks, and addressed to him? How legit can you think? So don't judge people when you think, hey, this looks like the real thing. Well, my guest today thought this was the real thing. And we're going to find out from beginning to end, but we're going to go a little bit further because my guest today was actually scammed by another country. And we're going to go into it, but the end of the show, the surprise I have, I did some homework on this country. And that is Jamaica. That I did find out the Prime Minister of Jamaica, and she's going to get a copy of this. She's going to get a letter because this woman needs to get her money back. She's on disability. I mean, she had a hope. She had a hope, thinking it was the real thing, just as Ron, who's intelligent, that knows me, with a check to cash it. Now, what he could have done, he could have deposited this check in his bank account, and they would have had all his information. He would have started writing checks, and all of them would have been bouncing. So no one is exempt from this. And if you really think that you know better, if you really think that no one's going to judge you, I do, and I will tell you, you're not going to come forward, that this woman is. You're not going to come forward to say, wow, I did it. I put out so much money. Well, this woman did. We're going to hear her story, but we're going to get to the bottom of it because our government, for some reason, can't get to the bottom of it because they say it's in another country. I'm going to try my darndest to get to the bottom of it, to the Prime Minister. They don't have presidents. But maybe if they see the tourism place getting limited because all these scam artists are from other countries, maybe our government will say, hey, you know what? And you know, all the laws that we have on the books, I'm a paralegal, but all the laws that we have on the books, you think it's going to touch them. It doesn't. Because they don't know who they're calling. My guest wrote to me on the radio show, my show, WWDB. And when she wrote to me, it was interesting because I looked at it and I thought, this got my attention because how can anybody? And I thought the same thing. How can anybody give up all this money because you say you won a lottery? Well, everybody is hope in this country. I mean, if you go out there, everybody's buying lottery tickets. Everybody's at the casino. Everybody's doing something for hope. You're going to hear her story. And when we come back, we're going to take a small commercial. We're going to bring my guest on, and you're going to hear her story and why she came on today to get your attention.
Consumers, are you being harassed by debt collectors? Whether you owe the debt or not, if you're receiving phone calls or letters from collection agencies or law firms acting as debt collectors, you, the consumer, have rights. I'm consumer protection attorney Kerry Flitter. You have heard me as a guest on Pearl Polto Show. There are federal and state laws that protect consumers from the tactics used in the collection of debt. Whether your debt is owed or not, whether you've made payment arrangements or not, you have rights. If you're receiving letters or calls from debt collectors, feel free to contact our office toll-free at 888-668-1225. We'll review the communication you've received from the collector or discuss any telephone calls. If your rights have been violated, we can bring legal action against the debt collector at no cost to you. Our telephone number is 888-668-1225 or visit our website, www.consumerslaw.com. That's consumerslaw with an S.com. This is Kerry Flitter, advocate for your consumer rights. The collectors have lawyers. You should have one too. Our number again, toll-free, Pennsylvania or New Jersey, 888-668-1225.
You're listening to the Pearl Polto Show, and that was Kerry Flitter. He will be our guest next week. You don't want to miss that. And that number, if you have a caller ID and the number 971-220-1002 comes up, and they say to you about your credit card that they're going to lower the interest rates to 0%, please don't give them information. It is a scam. My guest today, I want to first welcome her to the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Pearl.
You know, I think you're brave, and yet in one way, you know, everybody out there is saying, and what they're saying, what she put out. How much money did you put out?
I put out easy $20,000. And Pearl, I'm going to say, I know everybody's laughing at me, thinking it's a big joke, but this is what this country was founded on, the hope. My grandparents came over with that hope of being able to build a better life and turn around and make something of it with and not be scammed. I never even thought about being scammed.
You made a comment to me at the beginning of the show. I was writing up here about Khrushchev, and I want the people to hear this comment because it's so true.
I can remember, and if I stand corrected, it could have been President Kennedy that was in the office at the time. Nikita Khrushchev, stated that he would not bring Russia would not attack the United States of America. We will destroy ourselves from within. And that is exactly what we're doing. We're destroying ourselves. Why? Because maybe we have that hope, and you have that hope. But you end up having that hope that somebody you don't expect somebody to scam you out of 20,000, 60,000, 100,000. It makes you wonder, you know, is it wrong to have that hope that you can maybe hit the lotteries, or maybe come into some little extra money?
Well, how did it start?
It started. Technically, I lost my car was stolen back on April 16th. And it was found within 24 hours. I was scheduled for bariatric surgery on April 26th. 2 weeks after the surgery, May 9th, the day after Mother's Day, 2011, I'm getting calls from James, somebody going by the name of Mr. James.
At your home number or your cell phone number?
At my home phone number, my land phone, stating that I had won $9 million.
Now, how did you react to that when he said, you have just won $9 million?
I was shocked. I was in disbelief, and I said, oh, yeah. And I thought, oh, man, my ship just came in. I won this money. Gas for 3 years, $285,000 in gas for 3 years. A new 2011 Chrysler minivan.
Well, how did you think you won? Did you put in any applications? Did you fill out any contests?
I thought maybe it was a promotion from a store that I did a survey and then over the phone, but then that's what I thought it was, and I left it alone. I didn't put no applications in for nothing, to win nothing. But he convinced you. Yes, he did. He convinced me
But what did he say to get your money?
He turned around and told me that there was a fee for paperwork for lawyer fees, and the lawyer had to go get the certification on these papers to turn around, and so this money can be released. The money, the car, everything can be released.
Now, did he say he was from this country, or did he tell you the country he was from?
He didn't say where he was from. He said the thing was that I would have to send a nominal fee, certain money, to get all the paperwork for the lawyer and for the notary. The notary stamp on this paperwork, so the money and the car could be officially mine.
The money and the car, so you really, at this time, you believed it?
Yeah.
So, did he give you an address to mail money checks to, whatever, and how much?
This person, his name is Mr. James. He turned around and said that I would have to wire the money, either Western Union or MoneyGram. I went over it, and I shouldn't fell for it, but I did. And what had happened was he gave me a name to send it, and he told me to send it to that particular person in Jamaica. And it wasn't Jamaica, West Indies, which I did. He called me back. He had asked how long would it take me. I said, depending on how the line is at Western Union or MoneyGram. I said, shouldn't take me no more than an hour. He called back within 45, 50 minutes, verifying that I did the transaction, took the money out of the bank, and went over to Western Union or MoneyGram and given him the numbers. Called me back 5 minutes later. He said that the party got the money, and they should be on their way. They're getting the paperwork sorted out, and that the attorney would show up with the documents for me to sign.
Well, actually, he didn't give you no reason not to believe it.
Right. And it just another 2-3 hours later, that wasn't enough money. You had to send some more money down because it wasn't enough money to cover the stamp.
So how much did you spend? How much did you mail him?
Between Western Union and MoneyGram, I sent maybe about 13,000. This is not counting the money green cards, which came up to another 7,000. So we're talking about over a course of from May 9th to July 31st.
Helen, let's talk. I mean, the people out there, they're not laughing, but they're saying, come on. Now, even with me, and I have a lot of hope, but if somebody says you won something, when somebody says to me I won $20 million and tries to scam, I would say, well, take the money out of the check then.
Pearl, I as much as turned around and told him that. He as much as turned around and said, but there's taxes that his CEO, which his CEO's name is Paul Burgess, was going to be paying the taxes, and the taxes were cheaper down in Jamaica and not here in the United States. I said, but send me the paperwork. Send me the paperwork. Bring me the paperwork. I am under obligation to make that payment for that the taxes on that money and the trip or the car. And as time went on, he's on his way. They're on their way. They, as much as sadistically threatened that the FBI was on my phone, tapping my phone if I didn't send the money, that they knew where my family was. They were going to turn around and kill my family. They were going to hold my family hostage.
Now this is a company and a guy that you told you won the lottery, and now they're at the point of killing your family.
Yeah, and
getting the FBI after you.
Right, and I have never had any trouble with the FBI, the CIA, not anything in that. Maybe traffic tickets or moving violations. That is all that I've gotten into.
So you live by yourself, correct?
And I live by myself.
So they thought you were the perfect victim, and I'm sure you told them you lived by yourself.
No.
One thing that she's missing in this, because when she did contact me, interesting enough, one of the people on here, actually a couple people on here, I called on her behalf because I was a little bit curious myself. And I told him who I was. And one guy said, this guy don't live here anymore. Another person, I think they got a little bit scared. Another person that we called said he's going to return the money. Another person that we called, and then I got a call from my operator, my phone company, thank God, and said, did you make these calls internationally? And I said, yeah, how would you know? And he said, well, you never make these calls internationally, so we're checking up on it. And I said, I got to thank you for that, because this could have been a scam too. The people that I called is from Jamaica. And I could see, but they got scared, and I really see they do get scared, because when I called, there was a whole family there. There was a mother, there was kids. I mean, how did all these people communicate with you? Every day, every week?
Almost every day, sometimes 2 and 3 times a day.
After you mailed them the money?
After the money was, through Western Union and MoneyGram. And it got to the point, come August 1st, Paul Burgess, James's CEO, turned around and said, can we talk? You only have $100 more on this to, get it out of the system. And I told him, I said, look, I'm not sending any more money. Oh, you got to. I said, no, I don't have to. He says, you're going to have to, because we're going to in fact, I was even told that somebody knew, a Lloyd Nelson knew people in the mafia that would come over my house and kill me, set my house on fire, that my body would not be identified.
So they're threatening you.
They're
After you
literally-
told you won.
Right. They're literally threatening me. They're
Didn't
threatening
you
my
think
family.
this was a
and
little
all.
bit peculiar, though?
And it got to the point, it got scared. I as much as called the police on several occasions saying that I'm getting these calls that these people are coming over to my house. They're threatening me.
No, did they know the whole story
I
about
told,
the lottery ticket that
yes,
you
I
assumed
told
you won?
I told the police about this. They said, do not send any more money. The money stopped as of July 31st. Oh, you got to get this money. I as much as had my phone. I told James that Mr. James, he's going by. If you want, I'll give you his number if need be. Turned around and told me, you gotta send my. And he as much as called me recently, said that they're willing to make a deal. It went from $985 to get this whole thing out of the system down to $785. Then I got another call back. It's down to they'll accept $285, and they'll trust me with the rest in order for me to get the rest. And it went from $9 million up to $70 million. A 2012 Mercedes-Benz, white, insurance for 3 years, gas $285,000 for 3 years.
Boy, they got you. I'm amazed because in this woman's predicament now, and I know what you're thinking out there, people, and I know what you're saying, but you have to go through the process. She lives by herself. She just got operated on. Her car was stolen. And all this is bam, 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 bam. And then all of a sudden, she gets this miraculous phone call. You just won. Now, why wouldn't she think it was legit? Because if you're good as a scammer, and this guy was a good scammer, she sent all this thinking, well, what do I have to do to get this money? Did it ever, though, occur to you? Did it ever in the back of your head occur this was a scam at any time during this?
At first, no. There was a therapist I had, after the surgery, I had a visit with the therapist, 2 visits. The second time he was there, and he heard the call. And he kept telling me it was a scam. I said, no. He kept telling me, no, from my mouth to God's ears, my hand to God. Hearing as much as brought in, he said that he went to his minister, whose name is Emily. If need be, I'll give all these numbers out. Turned around and said that she told me she was going into the church funds on 2 occasions. 2 occasions. The third occasion she went into the church funds, she had to go to the church leadership, and they got the okay. She, as much as her uncle Emily, meaning her, Emily, and her attorney, Lloyd Nelson, which is supposed to be her uncle, and his attorney went over to Paul Burgess, the company, and Paul Burgess, and got several agreements.
Now, how do you know these are the right names, though?
I don't. I really and truthfully don't. This is the names that they've
But
given
there
me.
are from the phone numbers, though. I mean,
Yes.
what is correct is the phone numbers.
The
correct?
phone numbers are correct. But when they're coming off of the caller ID, they're coming up Jamaica.
Are they coming up the same numbers they're calling? They're
Yes,
just saying
yes.
call.
More so James's number. His number is 1-876-843-7509.
Now, how many checks, and did you mail it to all of them? I see one here. It says Las Vegas, Nevada. And who is this person?
James King. He said that I won $4.5 million.
Did he say he was from Vegas?
He said that he didn't want to go. He left several messages on my answering machine stating that he was at my door with the package of $4.5 million, a car. And the more I got these phone calls, the more scared I got. I as much as got 2 phone calls from 2 different men. One I remember was Frank, Mr. Frank. stating that he was a CEO of Bank of America down in I shouldn't say down in Jamaica. It was coming up 876. So that automatically Jamaica.
So you went to Bank of America.
And I went over to Bank of America, and these two people, Franklin's one of them, stating that he was the CEO from Bank of America and demanded my routing number and my account number. I said, excuse me, I don't know you to give you that account. Then he got real loud and started screaming and hollering at me and calling me a stupid so-and-so. And I don't want to repeat what he meant, but what he said on so-and-so. He said, I want your account number and your routing number so I can turn around and transfer these funds into your account. I said, no, I'm sorry. I'm not going to give it to you. I don't know you. Goodbye.
Then you were skeptical.
It just, a light bulb went on. I automatically, after I slammed the phone up and I got into my van, got into the renters that I had, and went over to Bank of America on Welsh Road, and sat and talked with somebody from the the branch, and they told me it was a scam. Don't fall into it.
Now, the people that I talk to, not these people, it's interesting because, as you know, the people that you even talk to would say, what would make you give them this money? You know, people don't understand. We're in an economy where everybody's hurting, and you're going to believe, and right here, there's a check. There's a check. It actually looks like a check, sounds like a check. He could have deposited this into his bank account, draw off the funds, and it would have all bounced. There's another scam out there, and that's for the Sunoco. And let me tell you, the gas stations, don't put your credit card in the gas credit card in the Sunocos. And I'm going to say Sunocos. What happens is when you put your credit card in, especially a debit card, not a Sunoco card, excuse me, a debit card. When you put that in, that goes right to another country. And so many people contacted me and said, Pearl, I'm short $900 in my bank account. Somebody just took it from the station. I get the first call. Then the second call. I want for gas. Use my debit card and put it in the gas machine. Now what I tell people, we have a lot of things happening from other countries out there, and it's pretty scary because you're going to get scammed if you don't listen to what she's saying and don't laugh, because it can and will happen to you because there's too many scams out there. The debit card, an example, is because that's coming out of your money. So what I suggest to people, take the money out of your bank account, go to your bank, and then get gas.
Excuse me, Pearl, can I say something? Sure. I've heard about that. And I also even heard that they're even doing it on credit cards. They're doing it on credit cards. I've just talked to Pearl about it a week or 2 weeks ago. And there was a scam done on eBay. Another talk show host was mentioning about that his son wanted to sell something through the eBay to upgrade the monitor.
Well, that's the other scam is the eBay goes through PayPal, and that's what I meant is they'll email you and say update your information.
I'm like, oh my God, and I'm glad that I'm glad I'm talking. I'm glad I'm coming out. It's a burden off of my a weight off of my shoulders.
Craigslist is another one. People are charging, people are buying, people are selling, and they don't even have what they're selling, but they were going to give you that they're selling something, and naturally you have to put it through PayPal, you have to put it through your credit card. The only good thing about putting it through a credit card is you're only responsible for $50. That's it. You have to pay the $50. Then you could announce it and call up your credit card company to say, I just got scammed. The sad part is many of the banks of the credit card companies are scamming people with the interest rates and everything else. We're in a no-win situation. This has gone on for years, but it's getting to the icing's on the cake right now because now I have seen it in all my years as a consumer advocate. I'm seeing other countries scamming us in this country. Why? And I see them being persistent. And why I say they're being persistent is I play games with them just to get them to talk, to tape it. And they get so angry. They get so angry at me because I play a game with them on the phone. And just for more information, they will say, you can say what you want. I'm not in your country. And that's when I get to know where it's coming from. People out there, we're in a situation of credit. We're in a situation of hard times when it comes to money. The old saying is, you read between the bottom of the line if it's too good to be true, naturally. Now, what I did and what I'm going to do, because I am so tired that our country, between the FBI, district attorney, they can't do nothing. They say it's not in our jurisdiction. We can't do anything. You got scammed from another country. But there's scams right here in this country that they can't do anything either. So everybody can break the law through a scam. Let's think of what we can do to get over on people. Hey, dime a dozen. Let me think in the next month what I can do to get over on somebody so they can mail me $20,000. Sounds crazy? Not crazy. It's happening every day. Your electric company, they go to the door. They're saying, oh, you're back on your bill. Pay us. And people pay them. Now, who it's affecting? I was just on the phone this morning with an insurance company. And the reason why I was on the phone with an insurance company is because naturally they wrote a letter. Now, naturally, when you pay insurance, it goes through your mortgage company. But they wrote a letter saying, well, we could turn you off of your insurance. I'm saying, what is this? So I called them up. I said, what kind of letter is this? Oh, we have to send it out to everybody. I said, well, let me say something to you. My mortgage company pays my homeowners, but let me say something to you. If this was sent out to a senior citizen and they had it through their mortgage, they'd be paying you and writing out a check because they'd be too afraid and paranoid of losing their homeowners. No, it don't work that way. I said, no, it's not the law. It's your company's policy. And why after 30 years are you changing it? But my question is, why after all these years, scams are going out there day by day? Why do we have to be so cautious? If I went into a 7-Eleven and stole from them, I'd be locked up in a second. And yet I can steal from you. Oh, guess what? Mail me. There's even the sick. Somebody's dying. Can you mail us this money so we can give it to their family? Another scam. And then you sit back and you say, well, how do we know? Well, if it's too good to be true or you think you're doing it for charity, don't do it. This woman, even though she got scammed big time, I mean big time, she can't even afford her cost right now. How do you get paid? Do you work?
No, I'm on disability. Going through this, I almost got evicted. I had to go to landlord-tenant court in September and back in October.
Now, you're only on disability check that's coming in.
I'm getting disability and a little bit of a pension. My phone was shut off from September 1st until January of this year, January 31st of this year.
Where did you get the money to send to them? That's the question everybody's asking out there. Okay. Where did you get the money?
I'm glad you asked that, Pearl. On November 22nd, 2009, I was living in a complex at 7224 Rising Sun Avenue. They had a fire 3 o'clock in the morning. That was the second fire in that complex in a matter of 8 years. Luckily, I had renter's insurance. That's where I got the money from. I had put a major part of that money into CDs. I had to cash the CDs in order to keep sending it out. Lying to the party at the renter's office, telling them that my cousin was incarcerated, lying to people, and here sending this money out through Van, Western Union, MoneyGram, and Money Green cards.
There's another scam that's going on there when you said that. Missing scams. In other words, they will say they have your whoever traveled. We have your relative, and they're in jail, and they need so much money to get out of jail. And a lot of people are desperate. They'll call up aunts, uncles, grandparents because they think they're desperate to get their kids, their grandkids, out of this prison. So what did they do? Same thing, Western Union. Until they find out, after all this is over and done with, they get a call from their grandkids or their aunt or uncle, whatever, and they're saying, hi, guess what? Were you in this country? Were you in jail? No. But they lost the money. How many people, and you know you're one, this woman to me is brave enough, even though I can't say the word stupid, because, yes, she was hopeful. I sit back and I see everything that's going on out there in our country with cancer. Everybody's hopeful with cancer too. I'm surprised there's not a scam with cancer going on. When it comes to the lottery tickets though, you know, how many people are getting scammed because of hope? How many people are, you won this, you won that. Did you really win? Or did you really want to believe you won? And would you come up? The question is, would you come up with millions of dollars? Now, when I said the BBB, let me say something. The Better Business Bureau, I did a show one time on a radio, and I had the president of the BBB on my show. And the reason why I had him on my show is because I said to him, you know, you want complaints where everybody will call the BBB for them to seek action. Well, let me tell you, he was on my show and I said, I'm not a member of the BBB and I don't want to become a member, but what I have to say, if like callers call in and say, Pearl, be a member or write the check. So what I said to the people is, let's think of what the BBB really is and how it stays in business. The Better Business Bureau is for businesses. Better Business Bureau, look at the words. If you're in a business, you keep the Better Business Bureau alive and well. Now, on the other hand, if there was a consumer that complained about your company that was a member of the BBB, what would they do? I could tell you what they would do. They would write a letter to that company to say, yeah, we got an inquiry about you. Can you please resolve this? End of story. So then when I did a show on this, the president of the BBB said, I didn't know you were going to do a show on this. He practically walked off my show. But the thing was, they raised every person out there. Memberships, businesses were not donating their membership anymore. And it wasn't cheap either. But what happened was, then they had to charge a fee. Then the BBB said, we'll have to charge a fee now to stay in business. And that's how they're still in business. So people, don't think that you're exempt from everybody out there that's trying to put you into a scam. This woman, I think she's brave in one way and stupid another way, but she wasn't hopeful. She just got operated on, lost her car. What would you do if somebody called you up and was good at it? What would you do? I know from people that I know that are really intelligent that says, what do you think? They call me, what do you think? This is a scam? Well, let's test it out. I know. As I said, I'm not even exempt, but that call that came into me the other day that said, would you like all your credit cards lowered to 0%? Of course I would, but I don't trust it on the phone. So I pushed 0, pushed 1, which they wanted me to push, and for him to say, let's lower all your credit cards to 0. What's your account numbers? I said, who am I speaking to? You're being taped. He hung up that quick. And then when you call back that number, it said not in existence. If you call back these numbers and says not in existence, where they get these numbers at from other countries, they use numbers in the United States. And here's what you say to them. You say, let me call you back. I will call you back. And if they argue with you, you didn't win nothing. But if you say, let me call you back in 5 minutes, call them back. If you see the number is not in this area no more, or if the number does not exist, it's a scam. I think you learned a valuable lesson from
yes,
this.
Pearl. I like to say this. I've tried calling James up. I've tried calling Paul Burgess up. I tried calling Emily up, and Lloyd, and James King. And I on the 876 numbers. And I found out the operator, Sprint operator, had answered the phone. I said, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to call you. I'm trying to call so-and-so. I then turned around when the phones went back on, automatically I turned around and I told him. In fact, James had called me back and said, I told him, I said, I know you're a phone carrier. He says, oh, you do? I said, yes, I do. It's Sprint. But James has two cell phones.
No, wait a minute. When you called back the number, Sprint answered the phone?
Yes, I called off of a pay phone.
No, wait a minute. Why would they answer the? How did they answer the phone?
The Sprint operator answered the phone.
And said what?
And asked, can I help you? I said, I'm trying to get a hold of, whether it be Emily, Lloyd Nelson, Paul Burgess, James King. Oh, their phone is not operating at this moment. In fact, I just called Monday trying to get a hold of James. And they said, I got a recording, this call cannot be connected because it is one of those things, it's out of line, or it's not in Jamaica or something like that. I know for a fact Lloyd Nelson lives in Longview, Washington. He tried sending me money.
No, he didn't try.
He
There's
tried.
no way he's going to send you money.
And they told me, in fact, I went over to Western Union or MoneyGram, and I was given the location of Longview, Washington.
Here's what I like to do.
And James, in fact, had asked me, he had made a call stating to the fact that he needed $5,000 to keep his wife in their home, that she was being evicted.
And who were you? The millionaire?
I said, excuse me, I'm sorry. No problem.
You just scammed me already, and now you're trying to scam me
brought
again.
up. I said, you just got me for over $20,000.
Another scam going out there is your MasterCards. Do not keep your MasterCards in your back wallet or around you. Go to your nearest drugstore. They have it aluminum. The aluminum wallets. Believe me, I have one, and it works because the new scam is somebody can walk by you, and there's a machine out that can scan your card number. And that's how they get it. So anything with aluminum, they cannot get your credit cards. They can't penetrate the number. And that's the latest scam going on, is people stealing as you're walking by. They have a machine that what Helen, what I want to do for you, and I'm going to do, and I will let you know the outcome of this, is I'm going to write. I did some homework. We have a president in Jamaica? No. We have what is called a prime minister. And in Jamaica, her name is Portia Simpson Miller. Interesting. But anyway, I'm going to write to her, and I'm going to direct her to watch this YouTube with all the names and phone numbers that Helen has contacted, they have contacted her, and I have contacted. And we know it's from another country, but I want to see the prime minister, if anything, if she responds to Helen, or if she does her homework. Now, a copy of this, I also done other homework where a copy of this is going to the TV station in Jamaica. And let's see if they do a story on this, because it may not even be the right names. I don't think it's the right names, but the thing is, well, I'm a little bit confused, though. When you have a Western Union, don't you have to have a name that you're sending it to?
Yes.
What names did you give?
Alicia Johnson, and it was picked up in, if I stand correct, Nidro. Tamika Francis, picked up in, if I stand correct, Nidro, and in.
So these
right.
people,
These
are all names.
Alicia Johnson, Damian Grant, was picked up in.
So they had to either be the right name or get phony ID.
Green Island.
Okay, it's not the where, but the thing is, they either had to get phony IDs or give their real name.
Right.
And for Western Union, did you check on these?
I was able to get the point of origin and picked up in Jamaica, but I could not get the addresses because they would not give me the addresses unless it was by law enforcement or by an attorney.
But did they have the addresses?
Yes, they did.
Okay, that's all I need to know, because I'm sure the prime minister will get their addresses. These I want a copy of. As I said, yes. I want a copy of this and I want a copy of this, because I'm going to write to the prime minister out there. I'm going to direct her to watch the show, and what I'm asking is give process where process is due, give credit where credit's due, and to get the people in your country stop committing crimes to the United States. And the only way we could do a follow-up. As our country can't do anything because it's from out of our jurisdiction. But your country can. And I'm sure if this was coming from our country, our government would do something to track them down. So we're going to see. If we don't get a response, well, guess what? We're going to know. But if we do get a response, I'm going to let you know what happened. And she's going to hear this as well. She's going to hear the whole show because she's going to be curious for one. And then she's going to be angry that people in her country are committing scams to people in the United States. This is a tourist country. People in the United States go to Jamaica. I wouldn't want to go to Jamaica now if I'm going to get scammed here in my country and go over there. What's going to happen when I'm there? Who's going to scam me there?
And I know I wouldn't want to go to Jamaica.
You know, there's many people that do go to over different states, different countries for relaxation. And when we find out what happens, it's pretty saddening that we know this is happening all over, not just in one country. But it's clear to me that United States, the people here either were gullible, were victims, and were victims of every scam out there. And the list is going on and on. It's not stopping today just because of the show. The list goes on and on with scams, with your belt telephone, your post office, your credit cards, your banks, missing persons. I can go on and on and on. It's shocking me. And yet they say, use common sense. Come on. How could you use common sense if you're a believer? You want hope. And after, as I said, I'm giving away $1 million today. Are you going to believe me? No, you're all saying no. I'm not going to believe you. Well, if you don't believe me there, why would you believe someone else? I'm asking everybody out there to have your friends and your family watch this show. And anybody that you know got scammed, so they don't think they're victimized and they're not inferior because this woman did come on. Anybody else wouldn't have came on.
Excuse me, Pearl. I don't want people to think that, to be afraid, to turn around and say no. 9 times out of 10, when I talked to the police officers, they came and verified, and they said, don't worry about it, because 9 times out of 10, they don't know where you live at. They don't know your family, and they're afraid to come over to your house. Please do not be afraid. If you're a victim, come forward and let the police know. If you have to, I'm sure Pearl will help you to come out of the open. Don't stay in the closet for always, because it's going to eat you up.
Who has helped you so far with this?
I had very little bit of help. I have gone to Senior Law Center, and they sent me to where I got a little bit of help from the government as far as catching up on my rent. Other than that, I got no help whatsoever.
Did you contact the media?
I got a hold of the media. I've gotten a hold of FCC, and FCC had asked me what were the numbers, and I told them they wanted to know the main number, and I gave them the main number. They told me it was international. I said, but you know something? They're being called from outside of this country. I just have that feeling. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe sometimes you have to go with the gut wrench feeling.
So they're getting bouncing back and forth.
I've been bounced all around.
They're in this country and they're in the other country.
Right.
And they're bouncing back and forth. Trying to get the victims.
Get victims. Like I said, the one person named James, his number is 876-843-7509. This is just one cell phone number.
And yet they do answer it.
And they have two, and this man has a second cell phone that's coming up, unknown name, unknown number.
Well, Helen, we're going to try. Well, first I want to thank you. Thank you for coming on.
You're welcome. And I thank you, Pearl, for allowing me to come on your show and be open about it. Yes, I'll openly admit I was stupid to allow this.
Well, you know what? We're not going to stop here. But we are not going to stop here. I'm going to write to the Prime Minister of Jamaica, and I'm going to give you your name and address if she wants to respond and write back to you or write back to me. after she sees it, I'm going to direct her to go to YouTube. I'm going to direct her with all these numbers here, with like a copy of all this and the names and numbers and who they are, because she can do more in her country than obviously they're doing here in this country.
Sure.
And I think it's a step ahead. If you have a problem and no one's helping you, and you think, you know what, I'm at the end road, you're not. You know, this is what this show's all about. I had got many emails this week to saying, hey, Pearl, you're becoming a reality show on this show. Well, if it's a reality show, then it is a reality show, because we're going to have to help you. And maybe that's what it should be. And maybe somebody will copy it as well, but who cares? If we can help people out there when somebody else cannot help you, your attorneys can't help you, the judges, the district attorney, the government, the FBI, if they can't help you because it's out of their jurisdiction, well, nothing's going to stop me. Nothing's going to stop me, as I always say. But I want to thank you for coming on the air.
Also, I like to say, since you brought up the district attorney and the FBI, I called the district attorneys. I went down to the office. They said there's nothing they can do. It's in the police. The police department is so bogged down with hearing about all these scams. The FBI, when I called the FBI, I got a click. They hung up on me. I'm like, wow, you know, I had nobody to turn to. But Pearl, as much as I'm going to say I'm in your corner, and if you need me to turn around and go out with you on the circuit and talk to these people and about being scammed, I'm willing to go.
Thank you. Thank you for that, though. But I'm going to let's see if we can get your money back. And if I can do anything, let's get our money back. But if you have a problem out there, don't forget, next week, you don't want to miss next week, it's Carrie Flitter, the attorney that sues the bill collectors. Let's see what he has to say and how he really sues these bill collectors. I've been doing business with him for 30 years. And it's going to be interesting what he has to say to you. And this is, again, Pearl Polto, as always, making the most of your credit, giving credit where credit's due. And this time, it's to Helen and to this country, not to Jamaica.
Thank you, Pearl.
Interest